You know, uh, you know that feeling when you buy something incredibly nice, like maybe a brand new top-of-the-line smartphone?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Right, you take it out the box, and it just looks flawless. Like the glass is perfect, the edges are sleek,
Mhm.
but because it is so pristine, you're just terrified of ruining it.
Yeah, so you end up hiding it.
Exactly. You immediately slap this thick, clunky, cheap plastic screen protector over it. Maybe, trap a few air bubbles in there.
Always the air bubbles.
Right. And then you put it in this bulky rubber case.
Mhm.
You completely deny yourself the actual beautiful experience of the quality you just paid for, purely out of this weird preemptive anxiety about using it.
It's so true. It is such a strange behavioral loop we get trapped in.
Yeah.
We covet high quality, we spend resources to acquire it, but when we finally possess it, we retreat to the familiar, even if that familiar thing creates constant low-level friction in our daily lives.
We just keep saving the good stuff for a tomorrow that never actually arrives. Welcome to today's deep dive, where we're going to explore why we do things like that and where that instinct can ultimately lead us.
Yeah, we are in for a wild ride today.
Okay, let's unpack this, because that extremely relatable, almost mundane human quirk is the exact launching pad for our source material today.
Mm-hmm.
We are looking at a really fascinating translated essay from May 2020. It's titled Enlightenment from Famous Brands.
Right.
It's written by an author named Sufeng, translated by Kinyu, and edited by Carr. And our mission for this deep dive is to trace this author's incredibly unique and honestly super unpredictable train of thought.
I mean, unpredictable might be an understatement here.
Seriously.
The structure of this essay is what makes it so compelling. We're basically going to act as your guides through the author's internal logic today, because he takes a completely everyday friction point, literally just the act of, like, chopping vegetables and shaving your face.
Right. Totally mundane stuff.
Exactly. And he uses it to build a profound, highly specific, and even controversial philosophy about human relationships, the nature of sacrifice, and, well, spiritual value.
It's amazing.
Ah.
We really do start right at the kitchen counter. Xu Fen kicks off the essay by telling a story about buying a Zhangjiaoquan kitchen knife at a Chinese store in Vancouver.
This was right at the end of autumn, yeah.
Right. And for context, Zhang Jiaoquan is a very well-known, high-quality brand. So he buys this beautiful premium knife, he cherishes it, and then he absolutely refuses to use it.
Typical.
Right? He just leaves it sitting there pristine while he stubbornly keeps using his old, dull kitchen knife.
Mhm.
And he does this until one day he actually loses the old one and is finally forced to pick up the new blade.
And that forced transition, it becomes a genuine revelation for him.
Oh, completely.
He describes the experience of finally cutting with this high-quality tool using some incredibly vivid imagery. He says the feeling was, quote, like a cow eating lotus or removing hair from yak butter.
Removing hair from yak butter.
Yeah.
Now, I have to admit, I have never personally removed hair from yak butter. But, you somehow instantly know what that feels like.
You really do.
It's that sensation of absolute buttery smoothness, like zero resistance.
And that concept of zero resistance is the crucial metric here. It's the total absence of friction. But the author only fully comprehends how valuable that frictionlessness is when he accidentally finds his old kitchen knife again.
Oh, right. The contrast is what gets him.
Exactly. He describes this moment where he places the good knife in the sink after cutting meat and unconsciously reaches for the old one to chop some vegetables.
Yeah.
The second his hand grips the old handle, the illusion of his past routine just shatters. He suddenly realizes how clunky, unpleasant, and agonizingly inefficient the old tool actually is.
It demands physical effort now.
Right. It causes the subtle, lingering frustration every single time he uses it.
It really reminds me of, like, the cognitive load of dealing with a terribly slow laptop.
Oh, that's a perfect comparison. Yeah.
You can spend years convincing yourself, oh, it's fine. I don't mind waiting 15 seconds for a single web page to load. I'm a patient person.
But then you upgrade.
Right. The very second you use the fast, modern computer and then try to go back to the old one, it feels literally impossible. You just didn't realize how much mental energy you were wasting adapting to a bad tool until you experienced the new baseline.
Which brings us perfectly to his second physical example. Because he doesn't just rely on the knife. He reinforces this baseline with a Philips electric razor.
Ah, yes. The razor.
And the history of this razor is pretty fascinating on its own. It was given to him 10 years prior by someone he refers to as Sintao Celestial.
10 years of daily use, and he notes it's still going strong. But the narrative takes a little detour here. He accidentally loses a small holder for it while cleaning.
Right.
So he finds himself in a store in a place called 100 Mile House, and he buys what the store claims is the absolute best razor they have in stock.
Supposedly top tier.
Supposedly, this brand new replacement razor breaks in exactly 1 month. Meanwhile, he manages to find the missing piece for his decade-old Phillips, goes back to using it, and is struck all over again by the staggering difference in quality.
He even details the specifications of this decade-old Phillips just to build his case.
Like a tech review.
Yeah, exactly. He says a mere 10-minute charge lasts him 20 days. The battery hasn't degraded after 10 years. It operates silently.
Wow.
The original blade remains sharp, but the ultimate proof of its quality, in his eyes, is the tactile experience.
How it actually feels.
Right. It feels comfortable in his hand, it shaves perfectly cleanly, and most importantly, it never pinches his skin or pulls his hairs out.
So, if we look at the knife and the razor together, his initial conclusion seems to be that quality brands are simply worth the upfront investment.
Just buy the good stuff.
Right. Their long-term cost effectiveness, their durability makes them superior. But, I'm looking at this and thinking, is this just an elaborate essay about consumerism? Like, is the grand enlightenment here just, hey, treat yourself to expensive appliances because they don't break?
What's fascinating here is that it looks like that on the surface, but the author is actually pulling a philosophical bait and switch.
Okay.
He is using these physical objects to establish a rigorous, uncompromising definition of what quality actually means to it.
Which is what, exactly?
To Sufeng, a high-quality brand isn't about status or luxury. It is defined entirely by its ability to perform its function perfectly without generating any pain, disruption, or friction for the user.
So the razor never pinches.
Right. The knife never drags. They exist to seamlessly, quietly improve life. And the moment he solidifies this definition of a famous brand, he makes an incredible conceptual leap.
Here we go.
He takes this exact metric of zero friction utility and applies it directly to human beings.
Here's where it gets really interesting, folks, because this is where the essay shifts gears dramatically.
Yeah, hold on tight.
If an appliance can be high quality and frictionless, can a person be the same? He bluntly states that people, much like products, are divided into various grades.
Various grades of people.
Yeah. And he introduces this specific terminology, brand characters. He argues there are people walking around who are the human equivalent of the Lifechanyuan knife or the Phillips razor.
He suggests that if you are fortunate enough to get acquainted with, interact with, and cherish these quality brand characters in your own life, your blessings will be immense.
Because they don't cause friction.
Exactly. Tracking perfectly with his appliance analogy, these individuals always make you feel comfortable. He writes that they bring wisdom, joy, safety, and tranquility.
And the absolute non-negotiable requirement to be a brand character. They never disturb you or make you feel uncomfortable in any way.
Right. He actually stops and audits what he calls his spiritual warehouse.
I love that phrase.
Me too. He looks back over his life and names the specific individuals who meet this incredibly stringent standard, and he divides them up too.
Yeah. He lists 2 secular male friends, Subini and Lu Jingkai, and then he lists a separate group of people he calls Chanyuan Celestials. There are 2 men, Kantan Celestial and Chengxi Celestial, and 3 women, Huing, Jinging, and Xiangrui Celestials.
Right.
Wait, hold up, though. Let's clarify something before we move on. When he uses a term like Chanyuan Celestials, are we talking about literal angels or spirits here? Like, what does that actually mean?
That is a really vital piece of context. No, he is not talking about supernatural beings.
Okay.
Celestial is a specific title or rank within his own community, an organization called Lifechanyuan. It denotes a person who has reached a certain recognized level of spiritual cultivation within their specific belief system.
Oh, I see.
So he is contrasting his secular friends from his past with his celestial peers within his current spiritual community.
Got it. And the way he describes both groups is incredibly poetic. He says they have rich personalities, first-class quality, that they're sincere and without deception. He even says they're picturesque, quote, like mountains and rivers or poems and paintings.
It's beautiful imagery.
It is, but, I have to push back on this entire premise a bit.
Oh.
Yeah. Terminology like brand characters or comparing your closest, most intimate friends to a kitchen knife, it feels incredibly transactional.
I can see that.
It sounds utilitarian, like he's grading people based purely on how useful or painless they are to him.
Yeah.
It kind of strips all the messiness out of friendship.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it definitely triggers our modern radar for toxic or one-sided relationships. But look at the underlying mechanics of what he's describing.
Okay.
He isn't advocating for using people as disposable tools. He is talking about the economy of emotional energy.
Emotional energy.
Yeah. Think about the friction inherent in so many everyday relationships, the petty arguments, the misunderstandings, the constant draining emotional labor of managing someone else's ego.
Right, the stuff that just exhausts you.
Exactly. Xuefeng is describing rare individuals who require absolutely zero negative emotional labor. In his framework, a brand character is an inexhaustible spiritual source. They don't pull your hair or pinch your skin, to use his metaphor.
They offer pure safety.
Yes.
So it's the difference between a friend whose drama you constantly have to manage and a friend where you can just sit together in total silence for an hour and feel completely recharged.
Exactly that.
But if you are lucky enough to find people like this, Xueveng lays down very strict rules for how you are supposed to treat them. And I gotta say, the rules are intense.
They are totally uncompromising. He argues that just as we treat exquisite, expensive physical objects with a sense of awe, we must treat brand people with that exact same reverence.
He says you can only venerate and admire them in your heart. You cannot approach them with the tiniest bit of, quote, secular affection or lust.
Right.
You are supposed to enjoy them quietly, like a peerless landscape painting. And he explicitly warns, do not take them down and hang them up repeatedly.
Which is a great metaphor.
It really is.
Yes.
Which essentially means, do not treat these people casually. Don't pick them up when you're bored and drop them when it's inconvenient.
They demand a level of respect that borders on the sacred. And it is precisely this demand for absolute reverence that sets up the most dramatic, high-stakes moment in the entire essay.
Oh yeah, things take a huge turn here.
The philosophy moves out of the theoretical and collides violently with the real world.
This is where the deep dive takes a massive swerve. We go from quiet metaphors about admiring landscape paintings straight into international political controversy.
It is a shock to read.
Out of nowhere, Xuefeng mentions that several years ago, multiple government websites officially labeled his organization, Lifechanyuan, as a cult.
And this public branding creates an immediate crisis for him.
Yeah.
The author explicitly identifies himself in the text as the godfather of this group. So when the government applies the severe radioactive label to his organization, he is forced to make a drastic decision regarding his brand characters.
He immediately, completely severs all relations with his two secular friends, Xu Binyi and Lu Junkai.
Just cuts them off.
He just cuts them off. And his stated justification is that he did not want the intense negative attention and danger surrounding him to impact the futures of his best friends.
Right.
He writes, sacrificing oneself and protecting brand friends is the best way to cherish and respect them. But wait, how does that logic hold up?
It's tricky.
If these people are your ultimate spiritual wealth, the absolute highest grade humans in your life, isn't abandoning them the exact opposite of cherishing them?
It seems like it.
It feels like throwing that beautiful Zhang Shaoquan knife into the bottom of the ocean just to guarantee it never accidentally gets a scratch.
This raises an important question regarding the nature of protection in his worldview. It is a profound paradox, but it reveals the core mechanism of his philosophy.
Okay.
To the author, true respect for a brand means preserving its pristine state at all costs. Now, as the newly labeled godfather of a designated cult, he realizes he has suddenly become the old rusty kitchen knife.
Oh, wow.
He has become the broken razor that pinches. His mere presence in their lives would bring scrutiny, danger, and severe friction. Therefore, the only way to honor their frictionless quality is to remove himself. Isolation becomes his mechanism for purity.
That makes a lot of sense in his framework. And actually, it is crucial we pause here to establish our own parameters for this deep dive.
Yes, absolutely.
Just to be incredibly clear to you listening, our goal today is not to validate or debunk the government's classification of Lifechanyuan as a cult.
No, not at all.
Nor are we here to defend the organization or its practices. We are strictly analyzing the author's internal psychological response, like how his philosophy of value dictates his actions during a public crisis.
Right. We are looking at the architecture of his decision. He fundamentally believes that his self-imposed exile is an act of supreme reverence.
It's just such a tragic way to view love, that the ultimate expression of valuing someone is to ensure you never speak to them again.
It is incredibly heavy. But the essay doesn't end in that exile.
Thankfully.
Having mapped out how to identify these rare individuals and how to sacrifice for them, the author turns the lens inward. He reveals his final, ultimate aspiration.
Yeah, he transitions into a sort of spiritual prayer. Looking at the remaining brand characters in his life, the Chanyuan celestials within his community, he hopes their dynamic will evolve.
Mm-hmm.
He states he wants to move from being like a tour guide and tourists to becoming close, intimate friends.
That tour guide metaphor is telling. It implies he's been leading them, showing them the spiritual sights, but remaining fundamentally separate and above them.
Right, there's a distance there.
He wants to close that distance, but he admits the barrier to entry is staggeringly high. He claims that just crossing paths with a brand character requires a literal gift from the greatest creator. And your own internal quality has to match theirs to even recognize them. But to actually become a brand character yourself, that requires a lifetime of grueling self-cultivation and refinement.
And what are the people who never undertake that journey? Like the people who go their whole lives without ever recognizing or meeting a brand character.
Oh, he has strong thoughts on that.
Swefeng expresses a deep, almost condescending pity for them. He writes that they're ignorant of the fact that there are, quote, mountains beyond mountains.
Right.
They don't know how high the sky truly is or how lush the land can be. They are permanently stuck using dull, agonizing tools, completely unaware that a Zhang Xiaoquan blade even exists. He explicitly calls their existence pitiful and pathetic.
And to really hammer home how pathetic he thinks this ignorance is, he reaches for an analogy that gives the reader absolute whiplash.
Oh my kid.
He goes from these serene images of lush lands and peerless landscape paintings to suddenly comparing this state of spiritual ignorance to a woman who has never experienced an extreme orgasm, and therefore never knows what it is really like to be a woman.
So what does this all mean? I mean, how on earth do we reconcile this incredibly jarring, out-of-nowhere sexual metaphor with his stated desire to be a quiet, serene, untouched painting?
It is incredibly jarring, but it is also the moment where we see his philosophical framework start to crack under the weight of human emotion.
Okay, how so?
He is trying to describe the ultimate state of being as a machine, right? Perfectly frictionless, perfectly reliable, totally devoid of messiness.
Right, the razor.
But to explain the magnitude of that awakening, he is forced to use the most intensely biological, visceral, messy human experience imaginable.
Oh, that's such a good point.
He's saying that interacting with a true brand character fundamentally alters your baseline reality, much like a profound physical awakening. You can't go back to the cheap razor once you know what's possible. But by using that specific metaphor, he unintentionally proves that you cannot actually separate the messy human experience from spiritual enlightenment.
You can't be a landscape painting and an extreme biological reaction at the same time.
Exactly.
Which makes his final closing sentence of the essay even more fascinating. After all of this, the cult allegations, the orgasms, the spiritual hierarchies, he writes, quote, I hope that I can become like a Zhang Xiaoquan kitchen knife or Phillips razor one day.
It sounds absurd to aspire to be a household appliance.
Literally.
But if you look at the mechanism of what those tools represent in his mind, it is an expression of radical ego death.
Wow.
He doesn't want to be the godfather on a pedestal. He doesn't want to demand tribute or cause anxiety. He wants to entirely strip away his own human friction, his own needs, so that he can become a pure conduit of usefulness.
He just wants to be useful.
Yeah. He wants to be the invisible force that effortlessly removes the hair from the yak butter for the people he loves. He wants to provide pure safety.
This text really takes you on an unbelievable ride.
It really does.
I mean, we started with the simple, relatable joy of upgrading a kitchen knife in Vancouver. We used that to build a taxonomy of human virtue, grading people on their spiritual friction. We navigated the agonizing psychology of pushing your best friends away during a political crisis to protect their purity. And we ended with the realization that trying to strip the messiness out of humanity results in the bizarre, poignant wish to become an electric razor for the world.
It's a lot to process.
It is. So think about this as you go about your day. Take a look at your own spiritual warehouse, Who are the brand characters in your life? Who are the people who bring you wisdom and safety without demanding an exhausting toll of emotional labor in return?
That's a great question.
But maybe more importantly, when you look in the mirror, are you functioning as a brand character to the people around you? Or are you acting like the rusty, clunky old kitchen knife, making everyone's day just a little bit harder than it needs to be?
And I will leave you with one final question to challenge this entire premise. If the highest possible goal of a brand character is to provide perfect comfort, total consistency, and absolutely zero friction, does achieving that require completely erasing their own humanity?
Hmm.
Human beings are inherently messy. We have bad days, we challenge each other, we create friction because we grow. Can a human ever truly be as perfectly reliable and painless as a machine?
Probably not.
And in a world that is fundamentally built on the beautiful, chaotic complexity of human connection, is a life without friction really a life we should want?
Maybe a little bit of friction is exactly what keeps the blade sharp. Or, maybe we're all just making elaborate excuses for that cheap plastic screen protector we're too afraid to peel off.
Mhm.
Until next time.